It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is Monday, May 17th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and support us on Patreon. So what is going to happen on this lazy Monday? We're going to get some coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, and of course, the Sunday sermon, the message of the life and joy of working. All right, guys, how was your weekend? We're back to another Monday. I'm sure you guys are just really... Well, Mondays are the days that, you know, a lot of people don't like Mondays, and it's kind of like the day that everyone dreads because they have to start work again. But, you know, one of the great parts, especially with this week's message, is talking about the joy and life of working. So I hope this kind of reinvigorates the way that we think about this day. A new week to do work, a new week not to just do work like just the way we've been doing every week, day in and day out, but more of doing it in a new way together with the Lord. Like not just, you know, I think a lot of people get I'll talk about this in the very, very last segment today, but there are a lot of people, they do get confused with doing spiritual work means you're going out to evangelize and doing this type of thing. But there are so many other different things that we have to think about too. All right. So, yes, I'm glad that you guys are here joining us here on this Monday. Had an amazing service yesterday from Pastor Joan, and I hope that a lot of you have that fire and grace still from yesterday. We can move on for this entire week. So, let us spend this week living the life and joy of working until the end. So let's do this together here on the Morning Star Drive. So thanks for joining us here today. Go ahead, like and comment below. I want to hear how you guys are doing. Make your requests, questions, what you guys think about the segments and programs, or any new programs that you're looking forward to. All right. And also, last Friday, we did have an Espresso with Sky. We had another talk that went on that channel talking about making emotional decisions, how we can stop ourselves from doing things in that way. And of course, tomorrow we have another vlog coming out. And yes, last week, another crazy thing happened right before lockdown started, and it has to do with my car. Yes, it's ridiculous. Yeah, if you watch the video, you'll be like, oh my gosh, not again. Yesterday, though, a Sunday edition, we interviewed Joyce Wong from San Francisco. I hope you guys will enjoy that interview, guys. Crazy story inside there. You guys will be moved and inspired, but the pictures you see at the end is just ridiculous, but you got to watch it, right? So great interview. Really thankful for her just sharing that story of hers, and make sure everyone, you got to catch this week's Sunday edition. All right, big shout outs for those supporting us on Patreon. We have Joey over there in Malaysia, Dr. Joey. We have Nate in America and Mari from Japan. Thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. If you want to support us too, then go check out the Patreon link in the description. And if you're on SoundCloud, click the blue button on the homepage, because Patreon is a crowdfunding site that you can support the Morning Star Drive at just $3 a month. And at the moment, we have lecture training videos on the site, and the Monday Bible studies, individual Bible studies, and question and answer from lecturers. All right. And of course, tonight we have another Monday open Bible study. And we're going to go into, we did the Holy Sun last week, so we even have more coming on tonight. I'm not sure which one we're going to do yet. I'm going to have to pray about this. Okay. And it will be posted by tomorrow. All right. So let's move on to today's featured artist of the day. This is, I don't know why it's a lazy Monday, because it's the week of the life and joy of working. So let's just say it is an exciting, it's exciting with anticipation, expectation of how this week is going to be, especially when we work. We're going to start off with Dia Wings from Korea, the featured artist of the day, and the song we're going to play is The Way to Go. And then the Sumney Boys from America with Nothing Could Go Wrong, and we'll end things off with The Sky from Japan with Home.
지난 날은 모두 잊어요. 그마저도 가치 있게 내 디딘 걸음이었으니 아파 흘렸던 눈물보다 희망으로 기다렸던 빛나는 순간을 기억해. 그려진 기억도 짙어진 추억도 모두 다 빛나는 걸. 다 똑같아 보여도 저마다 사연이 달라. 너의 얘기를 들려줘. 너와 나 갈 길은 끝에서 끝까지 노래하고 춤추고 아기자기 얘기 나누고 우리 갈 길은 비바람 스치고는 몰아친대도 This is the way to go. 이래저래 시끄럽던 모든 말들은 지금 이 순간부턴 더욱 의미 없어졌어. 그대와 나 여기 이곳에 이렇게 함께 있고 그 하나면 충분하니까 살다 보면 빠져버려 그러다 너도 버려 쓸데없는 건 갖다 버려 실로 머릿속 청소 잘해야지 평소에 한게 있디 한게 더요 This is the way to go. 너와 나 갈 길은 극에서 끝까지 가다가 아니 갈 테면 차라리 아니 떠나만 못하리라. 노래하고 춤추고 아기자기 얘기 나누고 우리 갈 길은 비바람 스치고는 몰아친대도 This is the way to go. It's my way. Go straight up. It's my way. This is the way to go. 너와 나 갈 길은 처음부터 끝까지 가다가 아니 갈 테면 차라리 아니 떠나만 못하리라. 노래하고 춤추고 아기자기 얘기 나누고 우리 갈 길은 비바람 스치고는 몰아친대도 This is the way to go.
This could be a fast life or short life, depending how you living. Nothing could go wrong if I'm with you, it's so fulfilling. If you keep the time, really God walks with you. Not even just walks with you, He will even talk with you. That is right. Been feeling life is different, everything depends on me. And having my own thoughts, that's really a test to me. The more I make myself, the more valuable I become. I have to take action, that's the final outcome. How could I ever forget the moments that we spent together? It's those past memories that will put you together. It's what you do after the mess up that counts. I give glory and thanks even in times of doubt. Don't just say you have the heart but don't do it. You say you want, you gotta show Him and prove it. You have to be a life the Lord really remembers. Don't just walk around for no reason, do better. Then nothing could go wrong. I can't be scared to proclaim it, I have to tell the world. Foot on the gas, pushing the pace as I start this race. I have to get my mind straight so I can become great. The time I have now, I really must cherish. It could be gone at any moment, it really just vanish. I know, it's been a while since I sat and even wrote a song. I wonder if my words sound good or even flow at all. And how I wanna share your words to the entire world. Alright, I'm sorry, let me fix myself. If I think of you, I know I will do well. It's times like these, I know I will prevail. Don't just say you have the heart, but don't do it. You say you want, you gotta show Him and prove it. You have to be a life the Lord really remembers. Nothing could go wrong if we do it together.
思い悩むことはない特に変わりはしないからいつもの笑顔のまま明るくやり過ごそう眉間にシワを寄せたあなたも可愛いけどその顔で長くいるのはとても疲れるでしょうさあ手を取って歩き出そう僕らの家へ帰ろう二人なら乗り越えられるから僕らの家へ帰ろうもうその涙拭って鼻水も噛んじゃいなつないだ手固く握って離したりはしないから僕らの温かな方帰ったらいつものさあ手を取って歩き出そう僕らの家へ帰ろう二人なら乗り越えられるから僕らの家へ帰ろう
And there you go. That is The Sky from Japan with Home. And yes, it is not my band. Well, I mean, no, it's not my band, and they didn't name it after me. I'm not sure how they named it, but I'm going to have to ask, I'm going to have to do an interview with these guys, how they got their name and stuff like that, too. Before that was the Somebody Boys from America. It's probably my favorite song off their latest album, Tales of a Longing Heart. That's Nothing Could Go Wrong. And of course, the latest single to come out from Dio Wings over there in Korea. One of probably the best girl group and singing just altogether that I've seen from coming out of Providence. That is Dio Wings from Korea with The Way to Go. All right, guys, so let's get into some news going on around the world that we missed over the weekend. Tons of things going on. Let's start off with the coronavirus updates for today. We have 163 million cases in the world, 3.3 million deaths. Great news. Mortality rate has dropped again to 2.07%. Top 5 countries going by. Daily infection rates. We have the U.S. with 33.6 million cases. 599,000 deaths. They're right on the brink. Probably by the end of the week, we'll be at 600,000. They're at 1.78%. India, 24.6 million cases, 270,000 deaths at 1.09%. Brazil, 15.5 million cases, 432,000 deaths at 2.79%. Argentina, 3.2 million cases, 69,000 deaths at 2.14%. And now we see Colombia. Colombia is the 5th on the list with 3 million cases, 80,000 deaths at 2.6%. Sweden, one of the only countries not to go into full lockdown, is at 1.38%. And Belgium, well, they dropped down too. And Belgium used to be the highest mortality rate in the world at over 16%, is down to 2.4%. 4%. So now let's take a look at the actual daily infection rates. And just to make things clear, daily infection rates means the spread of it, but of course the biggest one would definitely have to be the mortality rate, and that is that's going to be a much bigger figure because I don't think people would really care even if you had 10. No, you don't have 10 billion people in the world, but let's just say we had like 5 billion cases, but let's just say there were 0 deaths. I don't think people would really care about it. But because of the deaths, these infection rates become really important. So India, they dropped down to 326,000 cases in a day. Brazil at 84,000. U.S., not surprisingly, their vaccine drive is quite amazing, phenomenal. Like 3.5 million doses a day is being given out, right? And they've been in the 30,000 range for, I think, over 2 weeks now. They're only at 39,000. Argentina, 27,000 cases, and then Colombia in 5th with 16,000 cases in a single day. Over here, Southeast Asia, Philippines back up to 6,700 cases, and then Malaysia in 2nd with 4,100 cases, and then Indonesia at 2,600 cases in a given day. All right, so let's take a look at top 3 news for today, and of course, one of the biggest news is possibly we're going into like a possible all-out war, but there's a Gaza Strip conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, and Prime Minister Netanyahu vows to continue strikes. So PM Netanyahu has vowed to continue to respond forcefully to rocket attacks as conflict with Palestinians in Gaza enters a 7th day. And this was on Saturday, guys. Israeli airstrikes in Gaza killed at least 3 Palestinians earlier on Sunday, health officials said, and Palestinian militants fired rockets towards Tel Aviv, causing people there to flee to bomb shelters. The international community has called for an end to the escalating conflict, and of course, on Saturday, U.S. President Joe Biden phoned Mr. Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to express concern about the situation. A UN Security Council meeting is set to take place later yesterday. So since the fighting began on Monday, at least 148 people have been killed in Gaza, according to Palestinian officials, and Israel has reported 10 dead, including 2 children. So Israel says dozens of militants are among the dead in Gaza, while Palestinian health officials say its death toll includes 41 children. Now, speaking in a televised address late on Saturday, Prime Minister Netanyahu said the strikes will continue for as long as necessary and asserted that everything possible was being done to limit civilian casualties. Now, the party that bears the guilt for this confrontation is not us. It's those attacking us. And this is what the Prime Minister Netanyahu said. And the flare-up of violence over the last, it's been over a week now, came after weeks of increasing Israeli-Palestinian tension in East Jerusalem, which culminated in clashes at a holy site revered by both Muslims and Jews. Right, so Hamas is a Palestinian militant group that runs Gaza, right? So it's not even like Palestine, it's a militant group, right, that runs Gaza, began firing rockets after warning Israel to withdraw from the site, triggering retaliatory airstrikes. So how did the fighting escalate on Saturday? 10 members of one family were killed by an Israeli airstrike at a refugee camp west of Gaza City. A 5-month-old baby was the only survivor after his mother, 4 siblings, and 4 cousins died. Now, the baby's father, right, was not at home at that time. There were no rockets there, just women and children, no rockets, just peaceful children celebrating. At that time is a Muslim festival. What have they done to deserve this? Of course, this is what the father is asking, right, or is talking about. And a doctor treating the baby said he was in bad condition. High thigh bone is broken, bruises all over his body, but thankfully is stable now. So the Israel Defense Force said Palestinian militants had fired 278 rocket launches from Gaza, with homes hit in the southern cities of Ashdod, Beersheba, and Sderot. Right? The IDF also said many dozens of rockets that crossed into Israel were intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system. And those of you guys who want to know what that Iron Dome missile defense system is, go check on YouTube and search Iron Dome missile defense system, and you're going to see it live. You're going to see hundreds of rockets being intercepted by this Iron Dome missile defense system. So it's quite extraordinary when you see it. So but of course, rockets get through. A rocket hit a street in Ramat Gan, a suburb in Tel Aviv, killing a man reportedly hit by shrapnel in his apartment. Also, there was in Gaza, there was a tower block there that was completely destroyed, right? So earlier on Saturday, an Israeli airstrike destroyed a high-rise building housing media organizations, including the Associated Press and Al Jazeera, plus a number of offices and apartments. So in a statement released shortly afterwards, the Israeli military said the building housed military assets belonging to Hamas and the Palestinian militant group that rules Gaza. So the building's landlord has denied this. The UN Secretary General said that he was deeply disturbed by the strike on the building. The Secretary General reminds all sides that any indiscriminate targeting of civilian and media structures violates international law and must be avoided at all costs. Right? So the Associated Press said the block was hit roughly an hour after Israeli forces ordered people to evacuate. And the news organization CEO said it's an incredibly disturbing development, and they narrowly avoided a terrible loss of life. So a dozen AP journalists and freelancers were inside the building and thankfully were able to evacuate in time. So that is what's going on. We're not sure what's going to happen there with, if it blows up into full-scale war with Israel and the Palestinians. Second thing is about the Olympics in Tokyo. Right, so a lot of people are questioning why doesn't Japan just cancel the entire Olympic Games. So the Tokyo Olympic Games are now just over 2 months away, and and there are a lot of calls to cancel the games in the face of the pandemic, and these calls to cancel the Olympic Games is getting louder and louder by the day. So why isn't Japan talking about canceling the games, right? And the answer, as it turns out, is not quite as simple as it's for the money, right? Because, people can't even go there anyways, right, to watch the games. So the situation is not looking really good in Japan. Coronavirus state of emergency has been extended in the capital of Tokyo and 3 other major prefectures as cases continue to rise. Yet there's been no word about canceling the games, despite both health experts and public opinion being stacked against them. So current polls in Japan show nearly 70% of the population don't want the Olympic Games to go ahead, but the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, remains steadfast that the spectacle will take place. Now, Japan has long insisted that there was no question the Olympics, which should have taken place last summer, would be held and will be safe. Yet earlier this week, the Prime Minister Suga, for the first time, appeared to bow to the pressure of public opinion, saying that the government would not put the Olympic first, but adding that ultimately the decision would lie with the IOC. So who exactly wields the power to cancel the games, right? And what's the likelihood of a cancellation actually to happen? So, that's the thing that people are trying to figure out. So how could the games be axed? So how could it actually be canceled? So the contract between the IOC and the host city, Tokyo, is straightforward. One article regarding cancellation, and it only gives the option for the IOC to cancel, not for the host city. And that's because the Olympic Games are the exclusive property of the IOC, international. This is what the international sports lawyers have been telling the BBC. And as the owner of the games, it is the IOC that can terminate the said contract. Now, one reason given to justify cancellation, aside from things like war or civil disorder, is that if the IOC has reasonable grounds to believe in its sole discretion that the safety of participants in the games would be seriously threatened or jeopardized for any reason whatsoever. So arguably, the pandemic could be seen as such a threat, right? That makes sense. So the Olympic Charter also stipulates that the IOC should ensure the health of the athletes and promote safe sports. But despite all this, the IOC seems determined to go ahead with the Olympics. So could Japan go against the IOC and pull out itself? So under various clauses within this host city agreement, if Japan was to unilaterally cancel the contract, then by and large, the risks and losses would fall with the local organizing committee. So the sports law expert explains that the contract is fairly typical and that, of course, Tokyo knew what it signed up to. What it didn't know was that a global pandemic would enter the picture, right? So contracts can foresee certain contingencies, but the nature of the current situation is obviously unprecedented, right? So the Olympics are the biggest sporting event on the calendar. There are billions at stake for Japan and also the IOC in terms of broadcasting sponsorship, and it's a huge event, and there are huge contractual obligations for all sides. So the realistic scenario is Japan pulling the plug jointly with the IOC, staying within the framework of their contract, and if that happens, that's where insurances would come in. The IOC has insurance, the local organizing committee has insurance, and the various broadcasters and sponsors will also have insurance. So it's probably safe to say that if the Tokyo Olympics is canceled, it would probably be the biggest insurance payout event of its kind. right? No question about it. So insurance would cover the concrete expenses by the organizers, but it would hardly cover all of the indirect cost raked up by investments across the country in anticipation of the spectacle, right? So yes, we don't know what's going to happen, but it's a hard one. And you have to realize, guys, it's more than just money, right? Because there is a financial cost, but the next games on the global calendar are already next year, which is the Winter Games in February 2022, hosted by China in Beijing. So there's little doubt that overall Japan is prepared to go to great lengths to get the Tokyo Games done, right? The last time Japan hosted a Summer Olympics was 1964, and at the time they were seen as an important symbol for the country's rehabilitation and rebuilding process after World War II. So, these games in 2020, 2021, there's a symbolic significance, right? So Japan has seen economic stagnation for a long time, and there's been the tsunami, the nuclear disaster. So the games would kind of be a symbolic revival of Japan, right? So it does take it has some special importance for this, okay? And last but not least for today's news, we're going to go to Greece. And this is about Greece is finally ending their lockdown measures, and they are opening to tourists. Right? So Greece has launched its tourist season, lifting most remaining restrictions on movement and declaring that they're putting the lockdown behind them. Although an average of 2,000 daily coronavirus cases are still being reported, vaccinations are being rolled out. German tourists have begun flying in from May 17th. From May 17th, it will not be illegal for Britons to travel to amber list Greece, but they are advised not to. But only for green list countries such as Portugal will rules ease significantly. So although the UK has a relatively low infection rate, Germany has said it will be classed as a COVID risk area from Sunday because of cases of the Indian variant in some areas. So the Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Friday the Indian variant could pose significant disruption to lockdown easing on June 21st. So how's Greece opening up? Greece still has several restrictions. However, the big changes are that residents no longer have to send text messages to a hotline whenever they leave their homes or go shopping. Movement is allowed between regions, and a nighttime curfew has now been limited to between 12:30 midnight, after midnight, and 5 a.m. So a fifth of Greece's economy is seen as dependent on the tourism sector, and 20% of workers are employed by it. So, they're opening the tourist industry to the world. It's going to, this country's depending on it. And the tourism minister announced on Thursday evening in front of the Temple of Poseidon at Cape Soinen outside Athens. So what do tourists have to do? Visitors from a list of 53 approved countries have to fill in a passenger locator form the day before they travel, listing where they are staying and supplying a vaccine certificate, a negative PCR test, or a documentation of recent recovery from coronavirus. So the rules are a precursor to the EU-wide digital certificate that is scheduled to help free up travel by the end of June. And a lot of, airlines are saying that the vaccine passport seems to be the only way that flying will be done, worldwide. So, there's a lot of things going on right now, but great news for Greece, guys, is that they are opening up to 53 countries, right? So Greece had hoped that British tourists would be able to start flying freely from May 17th, but Greece has been placed on the UK's amber list, right? So anyone traveling as a tourist would be going against government advice and would face issues, and anyone returning to England or Scotland would have to quarantine for 10 days if they came back from Greece. So the government in Athens has launched a glossy video showing a selection of prospective tourists dreaming of escaping the sun for a natural tan and tasting real food with the message, all you want is Greece, right? So Greece is also really, really focusing on the islands. And on Friday, it was an important day for Greek tourists as it marked their first chance to travel to the islands since November, right? So the minister says the 32 smaller islands have completed their programs, and dozens more with populations of up to 10,000 will be vaccinated by the end of May, which is great news for them. And residents on the biggest islands will be given the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine by the end of June. Right, so that is some good news over there, but we'll see what happens. They're still getting 2,000 cases a day, but it seems like the vaccination program is doing well all around the world. And of course, as we heard from one of Sunseem's story letters, talks about how things are going to be finishing pretty soon with the coronavirus. Not sure what soon is in God's time, but he said soon. All right, so that means that is the end of today's news for today. So we'll get into today's time, spiritual time. We're getting to some time of praise and worship. We're going to start off with My Beloved is Like the Sun, then To the Lord is My Hope and Joy, and of course we'll finish off, we'll break it down with Whenever and Wherever. So everyone, as one body of the Morning Star Drive, I hope all of us here will be able to give praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
Here on the beach, here I am.
blown away, astonished and amazed, because I am his bride, I am his beloved, because I'm his bride, the one he loves, because I'm his joy and his sunshine. My face glows with love. Everyone who sees me will wonder why they want to know more. But how can they know him? Secrets of the times and of the Lord they'll not know, but remain in ignorance until they are told they will not know at all. As one who knows, I will surely tell the world, tell them the truth, testify for him, then they will My Lord once spoke to me, to my heart. My love, testify to all of the world. Please, love, testify for me. Then the Lord God will be with you, speaking through your lips every day. You will be moved by the Spirit, she'll enlighten you. Life without the Lord, how could we live? No one could live like that. Without fun, without hope, oh, what kind of life is that? Since the Lord is my hope and joy, I'll always follow. The Lord is my pride, he's the source of my confidence. Whenever or wherever I may be, it's only the Lord that I see. Whether I close or open my eyes, I can't seem to get him off my mind. Oh, come to me, I heard him call. The Lord so great pleaded with me so small, and suddenly he stood by my side. With the Lord here by my side, worries of the world are gone. Thoughts of you, my Lord, rush into my mind. Whenever and wherever
rush into my mind whenever and wherever. It's only you I think about when I close my eyes or open my eyes. You're the only one on my mind. Can't seem to get you off my mind. Thoughts on you, my Lord, rush into my mind whenever and wherever. It's only you I think about when I close my eyes or open my eyes. You're the only one on my mind. Can't seem to get you off my mind.
And there you go. That was Whenever, Wherever. Oldie but a goodie. Before that was The Lord Is My Hope and Joy. And of course, that first song was My Beloved Is Like the Sun. All right, guys, so let's get into some word study for today. We just had an amazing Sunday service yesterday. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. The life and joy of working. Yes, and this is something that I think, you know, the intro was perfect. When you think about working, like, oh, I don't want to work anymore. I just don't want to do these things. But we know there's something that we're missing sometimes, especially there's this big gap between work and then like doing things like enjoy with the Lord, and like working is supposed to be the exact opposite where it's just not pleasant, right? But before anything else, that special song, the History of Providence song, that was so good. Like with the five guys, it was like they were seriously like straight up K-pop band. I enjoyed it. I think that was the best special song that I saw. I was really excited to see it. They were really, really good. Of course, you know, they're obviously not like professional singers, but it was just done really, really well. The dancing was on point, singing, just the entire camera, editing, everything was good. I really, really, that's like my favorite special song that I've heard so far. It's like when I looked at the guys too, you know, you see them on screen, they got like the makeup around their eyes and stuff like that. They were straight up K-popping. Right? They were K-popping on Sunday service. So I really, really enjoyed that. And like Pastor Jones said, there's so much work that was done just to get this, just to make those videos and such, because it's not just the guys who are preparing and, you know, the choreography and then the makeup and then the clothes, all the people who are, you know, there's just so much work that had to be done, all the editing, and someone has to produce it, to direct it, how to make this music video. It was so good. I really, really enjoyed it. Also, the scripture for this week is really, I enjoyed, like the scripture is really good too. When working, focus on working rather than being idle, which sounds like a normal thing, but I liked how it's explained throughout the message, right? So the message comes, and the message came out as a result of working so hard. Like what Sunseem did this week. And of course, he realizes even more how much people have been working so hard, those that are working around him. And he knows people are working really hard during this pandemic, you know, in their respective lives, right? And I liked it when we're able to see what Sunseem did, like what built up that led to this week's message. Like the first one was like the cheetah pine and that path that goes all the way down, and Sunseem straight up just widened the path so even cars can ride on it. And even better than that is like, I like the second story of it. Widen the path, like dump trucks of just dirt and soil, just packing it down so that the path can be wider. But then he drives on it himself after it rains, it muddies the ground, there's holes that pop up. And he said it was almost like a hole when he was driving over it. And that moment he's like, man, we got to fix this. So when they decided to fix it, they started making these like irrigation ditches, bringing in 3 trucks of small rocks just to fill it in. And there was so much work. Right? There's so much work with so many people that he even said, that Sunseem even said that, these are the things that should have gotten done at the beginning with less people. But now that we waited till this point, or now that since we didn't do it or think about it back then, now more people involved, more money, more time, more everything else, right? And, the answer is it does this kind of stuff too. It's not something, as Pastor Joan pointed out, like there are some things that are not done by prayer. Like your prayer is only, your prayer is done for a certain reason, but like some things are not done by prayer. Like you have to literally take action, where someone who's sitting at home praying, and then the person who's actually going out who didn't pray but took action is going to get more done, right? It's kind of like this week's message, the message we just talked about before is, right? When it's the scripture for this week. Like when working, focus on working rather than being idle more than anything else, right? So what else did he do? Like they put irrigation in the soccer field, and then they brought in the red soil, and then they flattened the field. Sunsteam's putting all the work in, and you kind of get to see all the things that Sunsteam did in order for this message to come out. And it's quite inspiring. It is inspiring. The work he put in, right? He put in so much work. And I liked it because Pastor John was saying, what is the philosophy of providence? The philosophy of providence is action. You can do all the prayer you want. You can do all those other different things, but without action, nothing gets fulfilled. It's just all inside your head, right? And that's why I like it, where it's like God gives a design, right? That's the prayer that brings in the design, all these other different things, but it's the action that we take that makes it reality, right? It makes the design actual reality. So, when you think about this too, when you're living your life, there are so many limitations, right? So many limitations you feel in life, and you're like, oh, I can't go any further. You're working hard. You're doing these things. I can't go any further. And we have to realize, like, at that point, you just got to do a little bit more, right? But basically God said, work is joy. Like, work is joy. Like, what do you mean work is joy? Sorry, I was yawning there, so it's not like I went blank. I was yawning for a second. The work is joy. The work is the joy of life. Right? And we listen to the words, we take on the mentality, we realize through taking action, and then when we hit our limits, we feel like, oh, I can't do any more. That's when you do a little bit more. And you realize that the Holy Trinity is working with us until now, so we can do it. It's like last week's message, until the end. You have to surpass 6, get to 7, and do it until the end. Right? So, it's this philosophy of taking action is such a huge thing that Sunsteam talks about. Right? Even if you look at the Lord's Church, I like the testimony that Pastor Joan gave, because I was there from the very beginning. We were in the old Harmony Church, and that church was fitting. I think it fit like less than 100 people, and at that point, I believe we had almost 400 people in the church, so we had multiple services. Places was just packed, and up to outside people watching the video in another room, and it was Pastor Joan preaching at both services, and that was for weeks, right? So the question was, Pastor Joan said that, of course, the church building isn't the most important thing, but imagine if they only evangelized and prayed, then what would have happened, right? If it was only evangelized and prayed, you'd still be going out to a park, you'd have no place to rest, no place to put the people into, right? And of course, people at that time were saying, oh, we can just have service at the park, it's okay. But, but once you have a church, you realize how important it is. Yes, there are so many things to do in life, but it's not just evangelism and lecturing and managing. Like those aren't the only things, right? Because we're living in a physical world. Imagine a church with only pastors. It wouldn't work. Imagine a church with only lectures and evangelists. It wouldn't work. We need a place that's very balanced, and you're going to see that probably 80% of the church is all going to be working. 80%, guys, should be working more than anything else. So, we need this physical work in the church. We finances, all these physical things in the physical world, we need it. And because of that, the Lord's Church owns 2 churches. They still own the other one too, if you guys don't know that, right? They still own the other church, which is given to someone else, right? Was given to another church to use. But when we moved down to Pundang for the first time, right? I forget what the name of the area was. But we moved down to Pundang for the first time. Like, I was there during the move and stuff like that. It was quite amazing. We moved into that place. But crazy, guys, is the moment we moved in, we were too small already. Like, it was in several months, we were already too small, putting in more pews, like, people are watching from rooms upstairs on the 6th floor, 7th floor. It was crazy. We were already too small. And that was just the beginning, which we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to be growing even more. So, we have to understand that, evangelism and prayer is important, and there are people that are focused on it. Excuse me. But we have to understand that it's not the only type of work that's needed. The physical work is needed too. So, it makes you think really, really deeply about what does it mean to do things together with the Lord. And the misconception, what is it? is time to do work together with the Lord because he's here right now. We can't just expect it only when we're together with him physically in the body, right? And the key to everything is the word. The word is the key, right? Through the word, we're doing like service together with the Lord, right? Through the word, we receive the mentality and thoughts of God, right? Through the word, we know what to put into action, right? We receive the joy of faith and work. And through the word, we do it together with the Lord, like the Sunday service, Wednesday service, pre-dawn service. It's together with the Lord. We are working together with the Lord. And, you know, if you want to really feel the Lord more than anything else, it's like this week's message is you're doing your work and you do a little bit more, right? You keep doing it. And when you start to, like, even going to work, doing your projects, do it a bit better, do it a bit more, right? You got to put your all into it. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel the Lord, the shimjang of the Lord at that time, right? Because even if you think about it, honestly, like pruning trees and stuff is not literally a spiritual work. If it was considered spiritual work, then everyone in the world that prunes trees is doing spiritual work. But we know that that itself is not spiritual work. The reason why it becomes spiritual work is because Sunseam doesn't do it without the Lord, right? It doesn't do it without the Holy Spirit and the Holy Trinity. That's what makes it spiritual work, which means that you'd have to think about for your work as a career member, right? If you're working, your work becomes spiritual when you do it together with the Lord. All the things Sunseam does, like irrigation on a field, that is not spiritual work, guys. Just be honest. Why? Tons of people are doing irrigation on sports fields and making paths and roads and do irrigation. Does that mean they're doing spiritual work? Absolutely not. They're not doing spiritual work. The only reason Sunseam is doing it spiritually because it's done together with the Holy Trinity. And we have to have that mentality. We become competent in our work. We do things a bit better than the past, right? It's all about the word. It's about the mentality, living the life with the words of God, right? Doing it together, understanding how we should live more. If this week's message is for us to do what? To enjoy working, it's not talking just evangelism, management, and lecturing, but for those of you who are working, those of you who are raising your families and cooking, all these other different things, that it applies to every single person. We have to do it together with the Lord. So, and of course, I liked it also. It's like, hey, but if you don't get worn out, like don't do it to the point you're like exhausted and burnt out. There's no point. Because you run for like a couple months and you're gone, it makes no sense, right? That's why a lot of times in the past, it seems like, look, you did head leading, you put your life on the line, you wore yourselves out, burnt out after 2 years, and you can't run anymore. Isn't it better to do like 20, 100 times more work than those 2 years by spreading it over the next 10, 20, 30 years, saving more lives and doing more, right? Don't get worn out. You got to adjust and control yourself too. Take a rest when you need a rest. Even during the day, take a small rest and then move on again, right? That last video, great video, said what? It's noticeable if you actually do the work. But if you don't do it, it's not noticeable, right? Only the work that is done is noticeable. Right? So I hope that is something that it'll be something we put in our minds, not just in our church work, but it has to be in our physical work too, whatever you guys are doing. Okay, everyone, that is the take I have for this week's Sunday message we had yesterday. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. Hope it's something that will make you think a lot more deeper about the things you're doing even right now. Okay, so that means it's time for the song of the day, and I chose an old Korean pop song, and this is a song that super famous, right? This song is called, this is from a girl group, K-pop group, way back in 2008. So we're looking like, how many years? Like 13, 14 years ago. This song is from the Wonder Girls, right? And this song is called Nobody, and it's from their first album. And this came out on my spiritual birthday, September 22nd, 2008, and really, really amazing. It went to #1, various digital music sites, recorded and released in 4 different languages, in Korean, English, Mandarin, Chinese, and Japanese. So this is how popular it really became. So enjoy, go back to the old school for this K-pop music, the Wonder Girls with Nobody.
You know I still love you, baby, and it'll never change.
I want nobody, nobody but you. I want nobody, nobody but you. 난 사람 싫어, 네가 아니면 싫어. I want nobody, 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 nobody. 난 싫은데 왜 날 믿었네? 결국
자꾸 나를 밀어내려 해 Why do you push me away I don't want nobody 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 but you.
And there you have it. That is the Wonder Girls. Old school K-pop all the way from 2008. Well, it's not really old school. There's way more before that. But that is a blast to the past. And that was the Wonder Girls with Nobody. Isn't it really catchy? I want nobody, nobody but... Yeah, either way. Okay, so let's get into today's last section. And the last segment, of course, is Mondays. Every Mondays and Wednesdays, I have kind of this time to reflect and think about what's going on around me, around the world, seeing how we are thinking. And I'm really interested in, especially when it comes to the career department, right? The career department, or I know in Malaysia they call it the youth department, but it's a career department, and it's a very interesting area because trying to figure out how to live the life, because it's much different than campus. Like most of the majority of the evangelism and lecturing is being done on campus, right? With the campus and the people who are running full-time on campus, right? Or full-timers in the church. And the interesting thing I was thinking to myself is like, yeah, because most, the thing about campus is campus has time. Of course, when, final exams come around the corner is not the same. But during the school year, man, there is so much time, and they're learning about responsibility, and students waste a ton of time playing video games, doing other stuff, watching Netflix, which I do too, but there's a lot of time that is wasted. But if we think about this, like, wait a second, right? What this big shift, there's a big shift, because I know that a lot of people struggle from their transition from campus to career, and they feel like they've become so physical, and they've become people who can't evangelize and they don't feel like they're part of, like, they're kind of contributing to the church. But just after listening to today's message too, it's a little bit more stronger. Like, it is the wrong perception and the wrong thoughts of what we think it means to run for this history. And it's very narrow. The way we think is, you have to teach, you have to evangelize, how can you do this, if you're, well, think about it. If you're someone in a career, think carefully, right? Someone in a career they can't leave their job. They can't all of a sudden just start texting newcomers. They can't go on campus and all of a sudden meet people. It's not a normal thing, right? The people who have a career have a real career. And some people have like elite careers, or not elite careers, like more demanding careers. Like, imagine if you're a doctor working 6 days a week and you only get 1 day off. Like, if we think realistically, do you really think you're going to tell those people, oh, you only have 1 day off? Oh yeah, then spend all day on campus and evangelize. It's like, is that like really? Like, even campus even when campus go to evangelize, let's be honest, guys, I go out to evangelize too. It's not like you're evangelizing 24 hours a day, right? You'll evangelize for like an hour or so, right? And then you go eat your lunch, you go do your homework, study, go play games, do some things. You might meet someone else, but the slivers of time we use for evangelism is not like hours and hours a day. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't, right? And like, if we want to look at it honestly, street evangelism, going out on campus, is like it's really, really good for mentality, for training, talking to people and everything, whatnot like that. But also you have to think about is it's not going to be where the massive majority of evangelism comes from. If a church focuses mainly only on street evangelism, just going out there on campus, going out there just meeting people, you're not going to have very high numbers. Because it's not a very high, what do you call it? You don't have enough workers, which means that the only reason why people who do really, really well in business do well, because they do the things that reach out to millions of people, because they know that they're not going to get, they're going to get 1%. So basically, if you have 10 people going out, which most churches don't have 10 people going out to campus or meeting people, you're not going to have, most people don't have 10 people. Right? And if you think about it, it's like you don't have 10 people, so you go out and you only have 10 people meeting 20 people a day, then you're going to hit what, 200 people, and you might get a couple people to start studying, right? But, if you think about it from the grand perspective, now that we have internet and all these other different things, you can get thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of people seeing and watching, and it's completely different, right? And we have to think about it in that light. Right? If you want to get mass amounts of people, you need to reach out to mass amounts of people, thinking about a short percentage. So if it reaches 1 billion people and you have 1%, that's like 100 million. No, it's 100 million. or is it 10 million? I think it's like 10 million people that you're going to get from it, right? So it's something that we have to think about. But my point is, if you're someone working 6 days a week, 5 days a week, or you have a family, like you can't really. And then we keep pushing the only way to contribute to church is through like going out on the streets, meeting people and inviting people to Bible study or teaching them or managing them. But you have children and you have kids and you have this and you have all these other different things going on and you have a job. Sometimes people work on the weekends on projects. Then people just start to feel guilty that, what am I doing? My faith is bad because I'm not evangelizing. No, right? I do not think that the ultimate goal, right? One of the greatest merits in Providence is to evangelize. One of the greatest merits. Okay, it's merit, right? However, it's not the goal, right? It's not the goal. It's not like you don't, like, for instance, imagine you live in a town with with only 2 or 3 families and all of them reject you and they all think you're a cult and then you can't evangelize a single one of them. Then God's going to be like, oh, you're pathetic. You never evangelized a person. Everything depends on situation, circumstance, right? Even in Malaysia here, right? It's not like you can go out and evangelize Muslims here, right? You can't. You're not allowed to. You know, there are pastors that have gone missing here after they tried to evangelize Muslims. It's crazy when you think about it, right? So he's not going to go and say, oh, how dare you, right? You're limited to the group of people, limited to your situation, circumstance, right? And I do think that we have to think about a lot more deeper about how we educate people about what is running for this history, what is to do things together with the Lord, because we're thinking it's like, oh my gosh, evangelize, oh my gosh, management. No, we got to work, we got to do this, we got to do that. And if that's the case, then the only people that are running together with the Lord are those that evangelize and lecture and teach. No way, right? You can be doing things together with the Lord. How? Like Sunsteam. Sunsteam prunes trees together with the Holy Trinity. Sunsteam, irrigates a field together with the Trinity, which means he's showing career people how to do things together with the Lord, together with the Holy Trinity. And I think we do have to change that so that people don't struggle so much after they switch over from campus to career, or they'll have the wrong ideas and feel guilty that they're not doing enough for this history, which is incorrect too. So it is something like, I don't like it when people are telling people, oh no, you should take time off work and evangelize. What are you doing? You're just working. And the answer is, but I'm working together with the Holy Trinity, and that's what matters. And I come to services and I have good faith. Right? We don't have good. No, we have to change the mentality and the mindset. People will evangelize or contribute to evangelism in different ways, whether it's finance, whether it's prayer, whether it's actually going out, whether it's lecturing, whether it's managing, taking people out to eat. There's so many different, creating an atmosphere, right? Or imagine you're the one that builds the church and the church is amazing. And that church that you built has like a gymnasium where many events are happening and many people are being evangelized because you have that gym. That is contributing massively to evangelism. Massively. I'm telling you guys, if you were in America, for me in America, if we had a gym in our church, holy smokes. Sports every day, bringing newcomers, it would be crazy amazing. So even for me, I'm like, yeah, that is a huge contribution. So there's multiple ways, and we have to think about it in every, we have to think about the core sense of what does it mean to do things together with the Lord. Okay. All right. So that is the end of today's last segment. Hope you guys really enjoyed this. It is Monday. Hope you guys really enjoyed this week, a life of joy, right? Joy. You got to have the joy in the work, joy in the life. Okay. Everyone have an awesome day. Have an awesome Monday, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion.